Hey, TBK here, Turnbuckle King. Got another good one of Locker Room of Wrestling News for November 30th. Got more coming. Stay tuned. All right, got some good stories for you guys today. Let's start off with one story. First story is Daniel Cormier texts CM Punk after his WWE return. Thinks Sasha Banks, that's now known as Mercedes Moné, could return. It says here that he had a text exchange he had with CM Punk after WWE Survivor Series. Of course, we know CM Punk returned to Survivor Series, had the huge pop. It was a complete surprise. No one knew except for Nick Khan and Triple H. Surprised everyone. But he also said this, speaking to Ariel Helwani of the MMA Hour. He discussed that Punk's return, and he also discussed as well if Sasha Banks going to return as well. Now it says here, I texted him, I said, dude, what a freaking pop. He goes, I couldn't even hear my music. It was so loud. He said it was so loud now I couldn't even hear his music. That's true. I was there myself. This is the new WWE though, right? It doesn't matter how bad it ended, you can always go back. My thought is Royal Rumble, maybe Sasha Banks comes back. Ariel Helwani says, who cares? Then Daniel Cormier said, or Naomi, maybe they were tag. Remember, they were tag team champs. Ariel said, nah. Then he says, oh, I know why you don't care. He said, why? What? I just know why. Oh, who cares? Then he said, CM Punk's the man, best in the world, legit boss. What has she ever done? And Daniel says she's won every championship. She's done everything right now. Her name is something Monet, which is Mercedes Moné. She is rock and rolling in Japan. She's the best. What he talks about, you don't care. Then Ariel said, are you surprised that Punk came back? Then he says, the thing about wrestling today is, if you're on the internet at all, everyone is guessing. It was Chicago. So he thought it would be maybe. If you liked it, but if you're Randy Orton, you're pissed off, right? Randy Orton's come out, muscles popping, big chest, big shoulders, big muscles. And then look in my eyes, oh, Randy Orton's back. Let's put him back in tag team Matt Riddle because now that we're all talking CM Punk. Then Ariel says Riddle is gone. I know, I'm just saying. That's what they were doing Randy Orton before. He came back important. He could fight Roman Reigns. Then CM Punk comes back. And now it is, Randy Orton good, but come on. Mercedes Moné is currently sidelined with an ankle injury, but she returned to the ring recently to then train again. She was working with New Japan Pro Wrestling / Stardom before an injury in May. So, thing is, I could definitely see Sasha Banks coming back in the near future. I don't know how soon or how much later it could be, but Sasha Banks could come back. I mean, she was a multi-time world champion and was the inaugural tag team champion of the women's division with Bayley. I know that her and Naomi walked out back in 2022 last year. Now Sasha Banks now knows Mercedes went to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Naomi is currently in Impact, which is in the process of going back to TNA, where she's the current knockout world champion for the women's division, and she's having a great run over there. She's been putting on great matches, and she's creating a buzz. But Sasha Banks, I know she got injured while she was wrestling for the New Japan Women's Strong Championship. It was a brand new championship. She was scheduled to win and be the inaugural champion, but due to her injury, the woman she was competing against, Willow Nightingale, who's on AEW and Ring of Honor, she ended up becoming champion instead of Mercedes. But Mercedes could come back at some given point. I'm not going to rule that out. People thought for many years that CM Punk would never come back, and look what happened. I realized that Vince McMahon is not running things anymore. The company is now with TKO. Also, there's new Triple H, the head of creative now. Back then, he was just running NXT. Now he's running All. So it's very, very I could very likely see her coming back. Now, do WWE need Sasha Banks at this point right now? No. You have a great women's division. You have Bianca Belair. You have Kairi Sane, Io Sky's champion, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. You know, you guys know the rest of the women's roster. So it's not like she will be a good addition to the women's roster, but it's not like they're hurting or they need her really bad. If anything, if Sasha Banks wanted to be the main focus of the women's division, WWE is not the place for that. I think it would be more of TNA or even NWA wrestling. But WWE, I believe she comes back, she'll be placed in a tag team again with Bayley, just like she was, you know, a little before she left, or a tag team. I know it was with Naomi, but she was in a tag team before she left. She wasn't having a great singles run. She had a great singles run, but that was right before, you know, she won a tag team belts with Naomi. You know, she had a great match with Bianca at WrestleMania. I get that. You know, she had a good long run with SmackDown Women's Championship. I get that. But I think at this point she will be known to be in a tag team again if she comes back. I don't see her, you know, being the face of the women's division and having a title like Rhea or Io right now and having a long title run. Will she get the title at some given point if she came back? Yes. But she will not be the face of that division. WWE women's division has evolved so much since Sasha has been gone. And honestly, she hasn't even been wrestling. She's been hurt most of the time. But it'll be good to see her back, but I'm not begging for her to come back, you know. But other than that, I can see her definitely coming back. You guys let me know if you think that Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné will come back to WWE at some given point now that we see CM Punk and others have come back. So that's all I have for that story. Now, next story coming up. Let's see. Booker T stated here, it's going to be hard for AEW to step back into Chicago without someone like CM Punk. Now, this is Booker T. He's speaking on his podcast, Reality of Wrestling. Well, I'm sorry, Reality of Wrestling, but Hall of Fame podcast with Booker T and Brad Gilmore. But he does run Reality of Wrestling as well, his own promotion. See what he says. He comments on CM Punk returning to WWE. Hell froze over on Saturday at WWE Survivor Series when CM Punk returned for the first time in 2014. The return happened since Punk's hometown of Chicago. Punk previously returned to wrestling in 2021 for AEW, also in Chicago, and then returned to AEW in Chicago after suspension at the media scrum in 2022. Now, he says here, quote, CM Punk is synonymous with Chicago, and Booker T believes it would be tough for AEW to run Chicago without someone like Punk. Let's see what he has to say specifically. This is huge. It's huge because it's a huge blow. The Chicago market has been huge for AEW. Bringing CM Punk in was a huge plan to really boost that thing to the next level. Bottom fell out. Still trying to run Chicago. Now it's going to be so hard for that company to step back into Chicago without someone like CM Punk. That goes back to my old adage. Just keep your damn mouth shut. Take care of your business. And you might not fall into potholes like this one right here. This is just one pothole. Those potholes are going to get bigger and bigger. Let's go back to when I was in WCW. We were running for 83 weeks. Bottom fell out. The company got sold. All those guys were looking for a job. Ted Turner, you think he missed any champagne, which is a steak dinner? Nah. You still let me pull a plug on this sooner or later? I feel like Tony Khan will be doing the same thing if he doesn't keep his mouth shut and run his company. And it says here, AEW ran Chicago on the Wednesday episode of Dynamite at the Wintrust Arena, which is where the Paul plays before Survivor Series for its annual pre-Thanksgiving episode of AEW Dynamite Chicago. Then they also ran Chicago the day after the promotion fired CM Punk with AEW Collision and AEW All Out. Now those two were at the United Center. Collision Saturday and AEW All Out Sunday. Asked if Punk return to WWE was a bigger blow to AEW or the bigger win for WWE, Book replied, it was a bigger blow to AEW. It was a huge win for WWE as well. They're both equal. I think it was just a huge blow just because of the build-up. How much they put into that thing just for it to fall apart the way it did, it's a huge blow to AEW. Then it says CM Punk, he was part of Raw, cut his first promo since leaving in Royal Rumble 2014. Say was home his promo. Now, my response to this, my reaction to this with Booker T. Booker T is spot on with this. AEW did do a lot of good shows in Chicago. And if you guys remember AEW Collision that debuted in July of this year, July 17th to be exact, it was in Chicago. And it was at the United Center. And he's right, All Out has always been in Chicago since Punk arrived. And of course, they do the pre-Thanksgiving episode in Chicago. Now, with Punk being gone and going to WWE, it is going to hurt the ticket sales and hurt the ratings for AEW. I mean, you guys got to remember, not only was Collision in Chicago when it debuted, but also the whole show itself, AEW Collision, was created just for CM Punk. And that was to divide himself, CM Punk, against the Elite, which is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. It was to separate both men, both all people from two shows. Having Punk on Collision and then having the Elite on Dynamite and Rampage, a little bit of Rampage too. But I think ever since CM Punk's been fired, the ratings have tanked for Collision. Collision did their worst ratings episode, on the Same Night Survivor Series since the whole show began, with this exception in July of 2023. So I do believe that AEW took a huge hit of Punk being gone. And I said this myself, if they knew that was good for business, you shouldn't have fired CM Punk. You could have kept him. You could have gave him a fighting warning. But I know Tony Khan had his hands tied according to the front management and everything else. Even though he's the owner, I think that CM Punk should stay with AEW. Could have worked something out. But I know at the same token, CM Punk did not want to be there. He screamed at Tony Khan at the All Out event when he choked Jack Perry following the glass spot with the disagreement. He did tell Tony Khan in a shouting match that he did not want to be here. So CM Punk, I'm glad he's back at WWE, but he did whatever he could to get out of AEW, which means was getting released. So he didn't want to be there anyway, but AEW could have handled that differently. Also, with Tony Khan cutting a statement saying he felt threatened and feared for his life, at the All-In event. So I think that was a little over the top. So I see what Booker T means about Tony Khan talks way too much on social media. He's a business owner. He's running a million dollar company. He needs to set by example, not just for himself, but for his employees and also the front office, because he set a bad example for his talent. So CM Punk not being with AEW is going to hurt AEW in the long run. He's even hurting them now, but that's going to hurt later. The All-In event also did so well with 81,000 was due to CM Punk having this match against Samoa Joe for the Real World Championship, which CM Punk, did win. That was his last match in AEW. But I think not just AEW Collision and Dynamite, but definitely the All-In event is going to be affected. So that's something AEW wants to think about, because I don't see any huge name that can match the caliber of CM Punk coming to AEW and drawing the numbers like CM Punk did. So AEW needs to get back to the drawing board and figure out what they're going to do next. Or like Booker T said, which I agree, it's going to be WCW 2.0, as I stated before. So that's all I have for that story. Now I have one more story. We're going to get to that right now. It's time to address the 800-pound elephant in the room. Asuka Car Accident. It comes forward. Now, this is a big thing. Asuka is known throughout the world, but she had a big accident. She unintentionally collided her car with another WWE talent vehicle as she was leaving the Austin Arena after Survivor Series premium live event this past weekend. The individual whose car she struck was a mystery, but then she stepped forward to reveal themselves to the WWE Universe. Who could that be, I wonder? Now, as we know, Asuka participated in the women's War Games match at Survivor Series. Great show, great match. On Saturday night, joining her Damage Control teammates in a battle against Flair, Becky, Bianca, and Shotzi. While Damage Control did not emerge victorious the night, held further events for the Empress of Tomorrow. After the night was over, she had a bit of a fender bender. As Asuka was departing the arena in her car, she was surrounded by fans seeking her attention. She became consumed by fans that her vehicle made contact with the one in front of her. The affected car belonged to Daphne LaShawn, a referee at the company, who took her social media platform to inform the WWE Universe about the incident. She didn't seem upset about things, but she did come forward to reveal that it was a car that was hit. Fun fact, that was my car. We're hoping there wasn't much damage to Daphne LaShawn's car. It does seem like Asuka was traveling at any high rate of speed that would cause any kind of true damage. That being said, it appears Daphne wasn't ready for Asuka. We will have to see if Asuka comes forward to comment on this, or whether she paid to have Daphne LaShawn's car fixed. Either way, it appears that nobody's incredibly upset over the situation. Here it goes right here. She put it on her social media account, which is our X account. Let's see. This is it right here. It says our fans to blame for Asuka for hitting his car. Let's see what happens. It said Asuka was so touched by love she's getting from fans that she hit the car in front of her. Wow. Should we do? Let's see if I should go click that real quick. All right, we have it right here. Let's see what happens. Play it. So she had an accident due to what happened. I'm sorry, let me play that again. All right, I got it one more time. Let's play again. All right, so that's the clip of Asuka. She was getting embraced by the fans at the All-State Arena. And that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen to Asuka. Now, there's rumors stating that She could get prison time for what she did. She didn't speak forward. Could have been a hit and run, whatever. Could she get seriously reprimanded for what she did? We don't know if that's the case here, but I know that does not look good for Asuka because everyone's keeping this quiet. Could this ruin Asuka's run that she has going on? Her being a part of Damage Control, her maybe being world champ again. Could this ruin her run? Could she go to jail for 6 months? Could she do any kind of be reprimanded for this? Any kind of consequences for this? So that's the question about that. But Asuka was in a car accident, and we know who she hit now. So that is definitely something to think about for Asuka. Hopefully, everything does get taken care of at some point, and everything's all good with Asuka. But I know this does not look good of what happened. They definitely kept this under wraps as much as possible. So that's something to think about. And that's all I have regarding the subject of Locker Room of Wrestling News. You guys let me know. We are going to exit the lockers, get back to what we all do best, whether it's work or relax, whatever we do. That's all the news I have. Soon 2 videos will pop up. One will be CM Punk return. Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins walk out. Next video will be reaction to Ric Flair or Reed Flair passing away. Until then, it is OUT.